My iPad. Yeah, look at that iPad. Just
Zach,
let's go.
it's
Michael
almost the
gave
beginning of the year, man. We are in the
December
fourth
2nd while
quarter.
we're recording this. Oh my goodness. We just got dumped on by a ton of snow. I absolutely love it. You're recovering. We thought for sure last week, or was it the week before, you're gonna die.
I am still alive, sir. You
You
can't get
yeah,
rid of me that easy, Zach.
coming back. He's back, boys.
All good, all good. Well, what's on the agenda for today, man? What are we talking about?
We're gonna talk about selling. Absolutely selling. The three human wants that print sales when you utilize them properly.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you, this holds in true to me because there was one time I was talking to a financial advisor, and he was like telling me, he's like, "I'm gonna make you rich. You're gonna have all the money in the world. Give me your money, and I'm gonna make you rich." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds good, but it's not really why I want to do this. Like,
Right.
I don't know if that's the thing." He's like, "Yeah, but I got this big plan, and you're gonna have all this money, and you're gonna be rich." And he was trying to hit on this desire of wealth. And I was like, well, yeah, I want to be rich, but it's not really what I want. And in that moment it clicked. And I said, as I was talking to this financial advisor, he's telling me all these plans and all these things he wanted to do to make me rich. And I said, and then he asked me the question. He's like, well, why are we talking then? Because I wasn't really feeding into that. I said, truthfully, I want to build a legacy. I want to leave
Nice.
something for my kids. And then in that moment, I said, now, I said, if this sales conversation went differently and you were like, hey, look, I'm going to show you how that you can leave your family generational wealth. I'm going to show you how you can do this, do that, da, 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 with your family, with your kids, with that. Now you're talking my lane. Yeah, I would have been bought in right away. So that desire was more relationships for me,
Yeah.
where I want to leave something for rich is a byproduct
Right.
of your
Right.
services. But you really could have got me if you were like, hey, we're going to do something for your kids. And I was like, oh, I'm all in. Tell me more.
If you're not talking directly to your people, especially with the pain point or the desire that they have, you are lost in the noise. Now more than ever, ads are way more expensive. And this is something that Michael Gabriel, you and I deal with a lot with the people that we work with. Crafting that offer. And I want to talk about this. We're going to address this more very soon, but the slap, the story, the solution, it's very important to understand the basic three human desires that people want, and then we craft our slap, our story, and our solution to that. Now, what do I mean by slap, story, solution? Well, it's an alliteration, and as you know, Michael Gabriel, I think alliterations are always awesome. You see what I did there? That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So, slap, story, solution. If we look at two different modes of advertising, Facebook would be one. You're interrupting the doom scroll. TikTok would be another one. Doom scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll. Boom, up pops an ad. If your ad doesn't slap and get their attention, you're just going to be scrolled past. So we got to slap. We got to do something that captures their attention. When we tell a story, that story increases the perception of value. I'll often, sell my iPhone to people. Michael Gabriel likes to make fun of me because I'm a little bit of a hillbilly. I live on 17 acres. I chainsaw wood for my house to heat my house, which is awesome because it makes me feel manly with my tractor out there. And I
You're a
often will tell people,
lumberjack, not a hillbilly,
I'm fine
lumberjack.
with that. I'm a lumberjack. I'll be fine with that. I drop my phone out there all the time because I'm listening to audiobooks and it falls and gets run over by the tractor. And so I'll sell my phone to these people, and I'm like, this is a $1,200 iPhone. Would you pay me $1,200? Absolutely not. Would you pay me $1,000? Absolutely not. Would you pay me $500? Absolutely not. But then I say, well, I do have, and I'm stealing this from Russell Brunson. I do have Russell Brunson's contact in there. And if you message him, he'll answer. And I have all these other people in here, and I have all these different systems and tools that we use to help people scale dramatically quick. Would you pay me $1,000? Absolutely. Would you pay me $2,000? Absolutely. Right. So that story, nothing changed about the phone that's been dropped and driven over by the tractor, but the story increases the perception of value. The slap gets their attention. The story increases the perception of value. And then we have our solution. What's the thing that we're offering? And if these things aren't done right, especially in this market that we're dealing with, like expensive ads, you're just going to waste money. Now, if you throw enough crap at the wall, eventually something's going to stick. But if we understand the human wants, the things that will print sales, health, wealth, and relationships, those three core categories, you can like cut in line and really and get closer to being successful, being having a positive ROAS or return on investment with that if you understand the core.
Yeah, I think when I hear the core desires, the health, wealth, relationships, I look at marketing today and I see like the advertisements, and I feel like Apple, Apple, the computer company, they do it best, right? So they have three core products that they have, and if you think about the advertisements that you see for those ads, you can really quickly understand what category they fall in, right? So if we start with the Apple Watch, when you see an ad about the Apple Watch, all it talks about is like it can, measure your heart rate. It does exercise stuff, like it measures your exercise. I was wearing my Apple Watch the other day and I was walking. It was a long walk, and it said, "Do you want to record this workout?" I was like, "Am I working out?" Well, my heart rate was up, right? But it was really just a walk. Yeah, I was like, "Hey, let's do this." So when they advertise their watch, they're advertising it for a health desire. It's all about health. Now that watch can take phone calls, it can, text message, it can do a whole bunch of stuff, which, can fall into the other categories, but they really focus on the health part. When I see the phone, right? I see the phone, all their advertisements are about is this like, oh, look, the camera. This new camera could take these pictures of these moments and life and people and FaceTime and all of this. So they're honing in on the relationship side of things. Now that phone can also track your health. It tracks your sleep sometimes. It could track
Right.
your emails, like productivity, all this stuff. But they really the core focus is the camera and the relationships that this phone can build. And then the iPad, these new iPads now, they're like, man, this is more than just an iPad, right? Productivity, Adobe design, emails, Outlook. It's showing you all these things, which is more of a wealth desire, because if I can be more productive, I can make more money. So
And I want to jump in just super quick. It's something that you're saying. So we talked about the Apple Watch, we talked about the iPhone, you talked about the iPad. All these things they're selling to a different, what do we want to call it? A different human desire.
yep.
None of them have been innovated in the last 10, 15 years. They're all basically the same, slightly better camera, slightly longer battery, a little bit faster processor. Yet Apple is $1 trillion company. They understand marketing like nobody else. They have not innovated. And I got the iPad. I got the iPhone. I got the Apple Watch. I'm talking to you on a Mac. I'm surrounded by Apple products, but they don't innovate. You know what they know how to do is they know how to address three core desires, and they do it in a beautiful way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you don't get your messaging right, which that's what really we're talking about right now, these core desires is really about how do you connect very quickly with them. You lose someone right away. Just like the story I told earlier, where it was like, if you would have hit me with the right desire, I am in from the beginning. But because you didn't, you lose me right away. And in this crowd of noise, like you were talking about, like we only have seconds, like milliseconds to get people's attention. And if you hit that the right way with the right, if you call it the slap, if you call it the hook, you want to call it the core desire, whatever you want to call it, when you hit that right away, that's how you then get them to listen to the story.
Yeah, totally. There's a story. I had the privilege of learning directly from Russell Brunson for a while now, but there's a story in his inner circle group of this lady that was working for the Minute Fitness Club. I'm sure he's written about it in his book, but it was this big online, live workout thing that was happening years ago, and basically she was on this show and she's wearing gray sweatpants and she had a bunch of kids. I'm kind of skipping ahead of the story, but she wet herself in front of all these people. She was absolutely mortified and just ran out of the studio, went home and just crawled into bed and wanted to die. That is such a powerful thing when something like that happens. You can focus on the pain, or you can focus on the solution there, the problem or the solution. And she focused on the solution because she didn't want to live her life this way. It was happening a lot to her, and so she ended up finding a doctor, and he recommended these exercises and this diet, and she got completely better from it. She ends up writing a book that helps all these ladies out, which is fantastic. But like her advertising, oh my gosh, this is absolutely her advertising is her wearing sweatpants with a wet spot in her crotch area. And like that is a slap. If you're scrolling through and you have this problem and you see, well, like, what, did that lady just pee herself? And then you click on it. She tells the story, the embarrassing story. Like, oh my gosh, here I was in front of thousands and thousands of people working out, and I peed myself. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like they relate to it. Like you've increased the perception of value. They're listening to every single word. And I found the solution. I went to this medical doctor. We did this, and this. It's all detailed in the book. And you can get this as a digital book. It'll come to you. No one will even know that you have it. She made hundreds of thousands of dollars helping these
What,
people out.
what do you think her core desire that she was going after in that type of messaging? What do you think it was?
That's great that you bring that up, because I would say it's definitely a blend, right? So she talks about like how she'd jump on the trampoline with her kids, and then she'd have the issue that's affecting her relationship with those kids. She's doing the Minute Fitness Club, and like she's touching on all of these. There's going to be a core desire that we want to focus on. She's doing the Minute Fitness Club to make money, wealth, but she can't because of this issue. And clearly health is probably the main one in there. Is like she wants this to not happen to her. And so the focus is, I want good health. I had these beautiful babies. Here's what I got going on. I want to get back to who I was, and I want to be able to do the things with my family. So it does touch. It will blend in there. And like this is kind of like a pro tip. You might want to blend some of this, but there is going to be a main focus.
I like that you said that because I think of the book, The Five Love Languages. Have you read that book?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the five love languages, in there it says like there's a core language, right? If it's affection or touch or words of affirmation, whatever that is, there's a core one. But then you can't forget about the other ones. You have to like sprinkle it in as well. And I think that's important when it comes to these core desires as well, because as I think back to that story, if that gentleman would have hit me with that slap of, hey, we're gonna build generational wealth for your family. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. That's the relationship part. Now sprinkle in the wealth part. Tell me how we're gonna do it. Tell me how much money we're gonna have. Like, give me that piece of it, and that'll help solidify this whole thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was good.
Well, before people care what you know, they need to know that you care, right?
Mm.
Everyone tunes into that radio station, WIFM, what's in it for me? But I need to know that you care. Well, one of the big things that we do to help people is start to ask a bunch of questions about, your industry. What are your pain points right now? It's kind of a funny segue on that, is like a lot of the contractors that we're working with, their big issue isn't, Zach, I need more business. In fact, the well guy that I was just talking to, he's like, I was referring business to my competitors left and right all summer. I'm doing it right now. We're in a drought area. We had to dig deeper. I just don't have the time. You know what my big issue is, Zach? I can't find good help. I would print money if I could find good help, and I'm not poking at some people. I mean, I'm poking at some people. They don't show up to time. They're on their phone. They quit after like 3 days. He just wants solid people that are willing to work, and then he would blow up his business. And so as a person that does care about my people, what's it, Zig Ziglar? I love this Zig Ziglarism. If you help enough other people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. Serving other people, a very Christian principle. Love that part. If I care enough to ask him about his problem, and it's the lack of help, I can then help solve that problem. And it's something that we help do. You staff the right people, you can scale.
Absolutely. Well, look, I think this is great. So if you guys are trying to figure out messaging, you have to think about what is the real desire that these people want, and you lead with that, and you can sprinkle in all the other desires. Because again, I look at Apple and I feel like, man, they're doing it right. So make sure you guys focus on exactly what people want. That'll create a fast connection, and then you'll be able to get them to continue on with your story.
I love it. And if they want more help, Michael, where do they go?
they go to cruxlocal.com.
Cruxlocal.com. And we'd be more than happy to help you out. We specialize really turning local businesses into legendary businesses, and we've done this across many fields. Be more than happy to do a free 90 free assessment on your business.
Absolutely. And I think what you can do in the comments is if you think you know what the core desire is in your business of that you're hitting, type it in the comments. Put health, wealth, or relationships. And if you want, give a brief snippet. We would love to see what that looks like.
Yeah, totally.
All right. See you next time.
See you, everybody. Lumberjack.